Appreciate everybody taking the time, and I know this is kind of a stressful time for everybody, but Justin, I think it's amazing what you're doing to allow us football coaches to at least get our fix in and keep learning ball. And I've been doing this 29 years, and I still don't know how to work these computers very good, so I may need some help along the way. But I tell people all the time, I go speak at a lot of clinics, and my big thing is any clinic I go to, a lot of people talk philosophy and this, that, and those things are good. But I go to a clinic, I want something I could take back on Monday and start implementing in my program. I want some kind of play, some kind of scheme, something that can help me win a football game. And I'm not saying all those cultural things, but everybody's got their ideas about discipline and how they're going to do things. But I want to learn plays and how to install plays. So that's the goal of this clinic talk, is for anybody that's watching to be able to go back and start installing RPOs. And if you're already doing it, maybe you'll pick up another variation of an RPO. And I tell people all the time is, at Scotland, as Justin knows, we're going to run the football. And in 2015, we were playing in the second round playoff game against North Davidson. And a guy named Mark Holcomb was the head coach at North Davidson. And RPOs, I think back to that and think how ahead of the game he was. And nobody was doing RPOs that we played. And we get in the second round playoff game and we score 40 and we lost. And really they kind of upset us. We were a higher ranked team at the time. And I learned a valuable lesson that game, is that RPOs are difficult to handle if you execute them the right way. And they had a great running back that went to West Virginia, and they had some good players. But Coach Holcomb kind of opened my eyes to this whole RPO thing. It really kind of fits well to what we're doing at Scotland, because we're going to run the football. And it's just, old school people say it's just play action passing. They said now you're reading it, whether or not to throw it or hand it off. So I'm going to go to the little PowerPoint I have prepared. So I'm going to share that real quick. Let's see if I can make that happen. Let me see if my wife's got me prepared. Yep, you're good. Can you see that, Coach?
You're good, Coach.
All right, so just some background things on why I run RPOs if you're not already doing it. Well, now if I can get to click over, Coach. All right. It's not advancing. First mistake. Any ideas why I can't get it to go forward? Oh, there it is. I'll do it that way. Guys, it's simple concepts create complex problems for the defense. It's really simple. I coached in an 8th grade all-star game in January, and in 4 practices, I had 8th graders running RPOs. And so when I first got into this, I was thinking, man, because I'm not the smartest guy in the world, but if I can figure it out and I can get 8th graders to figure it out, it's not that tough. But it's simple, but it looks tough, and it really creates problems for defensive coaches, because it puts your linebackers, secondary, D-line, whoever it is you're reading, it makes them where they can't be right. And so that's what I love about it, is I've always been a big check with me guy. We're no huddle spread at Scotland, but I've always been sort of a check with me guy, because I wanted that chalk glass. I wanted to be able to make the adjustments after I saw how the defense was lining up. So even though we played with tempo, we weren't hyper fast like you see a lot of people doing, because I was so afraid of running a bad play into a bad look. Well, RPOs, it's an if this, then that. So you've got answers, so it allows you to play really, really fast. And so that's one of the things I like about it. It looks complex to the defense, but it's really quite simple. You have built-in answers. Again, it goes to what I just said, allows you to play with tempo. You're always going to have the right play if your quarterback reads it, if your guys execute the play right. It's almost like the defense can't stop it if you execute it correctly, and that makes it really kind of good to use. In my book, the ball's out quickly. My offensive line coach will tell you we're not real good at pass protection. We don't spend a whole lot of time working on kick sliding. We're going to run the ball, and I see Coach Sachokas here from Pine Forest. He'll tell you we're going to run the ball 90% of the time at Scotland High School. We're going to run the ball. I had the #1 running back in the United States 2 years ago that went to Georgia. We don't spend a lot of time kick sliding. So the beauty of this is you are run blocking but throwing the football. It allows you to get the ball out quick. It's easy reads for the quarterback, and you read all levels. We have some RPOs that are reading defensive linemen. We have some RPOs that are reading linebackers. We have some RPOs that are reading secondary players. So you can adjust it for whatever you need to during that week. Again, what I was just saying, the O-line is run blocking. It allows us to work on the run game and the pass game at the same time. We literally, when we do inside runs, we are literally coaching the running game, and the quarterback is throwing the ball. Like in the past, he's just hand the ball off and stand there. Now he is handing the ball off, and I'll have a coach stand where we want the RPO throw to go to, or I'll actually bring the receivers down, and literally on every play, he'll hand the ball off. I'll have another quarterback or a coach immediately hand the quarterback another ball, and he'll take the ball and throw it out. And so we are working the running game and the passing game at the same time. And you can be creative in practice on how to do this. But I get my backup quarterback or another coach to just hand him or toss him a ball. So he'll hand one off, we'll toss him another one, he'll throw it out. So we're working on two things at once, which really makes you efficient in practice time. And the other thing I like is you can run with almost any play in your offense. I don't care. There's probably coaches here that run the wing tee, they run the spread, they're two back. It doesn't matter what you do. You can run an RPO with almost any type of offense. We run RPOs with multiple plays in our offense. And the only thing I would say is be a prerequisite of running RPOs is being the shotgun. And to be honest with our middle schools, I'm not one of these coaches that goes down and makes our middle schools run a certain offense per se. I talk to those coaches, but the only thing I tell our middle school coaches is make sure we run from the shotgun. One, so I always have a snapper. You got to have that. But we can do this with any type of offensive play just about in our scheme. So whoever's watching, it doesn't matter what you run. If you want to do RPOs, you can make it work. And I'm going to show it on video from several different style of plays on these videos. Now, just some statistics, and this is just a run of why to do it. Guys, this is when you go back and self-scout at the end of the year. I sort of did this with our RPO data, and when I did it, I said to myself, we should be running RPOs like every play, because I'm kind of dumb for not doing it when you look at the statistics of it. Last year, we actually threw the ball 51 times on an RPO play. Now, we run it more than that, but we actually threw the ball 51 times. That's only 3 or 4 times a game. I need to do it 3 times that amount. Next year we're going to throw the ball more, or give my quarterback the option to throw the ball more, because we completed 75% of the passes that we threw when it was an RPO. And we did that, and we had 15 explosive plays out of those completions. I think we had 38 completions. 15 of those were explosive, meaning more than 15 yards. And anytime you get those kind of plays, you need to do more of it. So as I'm scouting myself in the off season and spending this time, I can tell you right now, Coach Justin at Jack Britt, and if I play Pine Forest, I see some of the guys I play in my league watching, we're going to throw the ball more, because we're going to implement this stuff at a greater extent. We averaged 15.39 yards per completion, 11 yards every time, even when we didn't, 11 yards every time we ran it. So that's obviously we need to do more of it. We had 7 touchdowns on it, only 1 interception, and that was on a tipped ball. It was actually, the play was good. A defensive lineman tipped the ball, and a linebacker intercepted it. But other than that, 7 touchdowns, only 1 interception. That's pretty good efficiency. Now, getting to what you really want to go, this is sort of our base RPO play that we run at Scholar. This is our inside zone. We call this inside zone slash, where we're taking our Y and slashing them across the block, the defensive end. Our quarterback is reading the inside linebacker. And basically what we tell these guys is he's going to take a little bit of, I'd say, it's one of the few times on a football field I say, hey, man, don't be too fast. Most of these guys are basketball guys these days. I tell them, hey, give them your best little crossover move. And it looks kind of stupid on film because they're doing it on air, but they're making some little stutter steps, crossover moves, whatever they're doing. And then we tell them their aiming point is 1 yard behind the linebacker. Now, I've heard other people say 3 yards. Here's what I found. If I tell him 1, he'll end up at 3. If I told him 3, he'd go 7. So I tell him closer to that linebacker because, again, they tend to err on wanting to be too deep. So we tell them 1 yard behind the linebacker inside of them. The outside guy, he's going to run a 5-step dig, and we tell him the same thing. At the top of your route, spend some time, do some little head moves, whatever it is, and you're going to be flat down the line. And the way we do it, guys, and I don't want to give away all my signs and technology because I got people watching that we play, but we have a way to tell the quarterback and the receivers who's got the RPO. So in this play, it's a backside play. We are running the ball to the right. I've got a signal that tells the 2 left receivers that they are running our base RPO route. Does that make sense to you guys that are listening? So if it's an even number to the right, the RPO in this case is going to be to the left, which is as it's drawn here. But we can easily make the ball come to the right and put this guy on the RPO and read that linebacker. And since he's a single extension guy, we tell him the same thing. He's going to aim 1 yard behind that linebacker, and he would reduce his split a little bit. So we'll get into that later, but that's sort of the basic. Now, you can run this off of any play. Like we'll take and we'll base this guy out, and we'll insert with the F, but we're still reading that linebacker, okay? Now, I got some color. This is us in the first scrimmage game, and we're just sort of really getting, working on this. So there's some bad to this. One, the running backs run the wrong route, so only pay attention to running backs or run wrong path. This is supposed to be zoned this way with that running back coming across. They literally are both running it, so they about hit each other. But you can see my inside slot receiver, he should be aiming about where my cursor's at. He goes a little deep, but he gets the ball down. It's a little, my internet's not good, real good, I don't guess, but it's kind of thing. And you'll see the outside guy do a 5-yard dig route as well. Now, the one thing we teach them, our quarterback, and this is something we progress to, if this guy is apexing and is sort of in our guy's way, we tell the quarterback then to look to the second window throw. So if this guy is head up to slightly inside, we're going to read it inside out regardless. But pre-snap, my quarterback should be thinking, look, if I pull this, I really should be thinking this guy. But I'm still going to read it inside out. And of course, I'm glad he did because he threw it. But if you can see, the second window throws wide open too, though. This guy right here was wide open as well. He could have hit either one of those. Here's a coaching point. This guy's way too wide. The ball's on the hash. We tell this guy he should be about 4 or 5 yards outside that. He should be about right where the cursor's at. This guy's probably a hair too wide. Since the ball's on that hash, he should be 2 or 3 yards inside the hash. I tell him, no matter where's the, and we drill this in practice, and we'll move the ball around. You always get the same distance so the quarterback gets used to throwing that throw, that distance. And he always needs to get about the same distance no matter where the ball. We give him some general landmarks, but they just get used to looking inside and say, that's how far I need to be from the quarterback to make this work. Again, this guy's apex. He really should be thinking this second window, but this is the second game of the year. We're still just sort of working on it. Ball's down, throws it. And again, I wish he'd have thrown it to that guy. Ideally, he should have thrown the second window. The other little coaching point for you guys is tell your running backs, if you're going to run zone and RPO it, don't leave until the quarterback has the ball. Running backs are used to going on snap count too. And if you're like me, you've told them 1,000 years, you got to run, bust your butt. Well, we tell our running backs, you don't move until the quarterback has the ball in his hands because you want there to be a riding time. If you watch Wake Forest, man, they'll stick that ball in there and they'll just hang with it. Now, we don't walk it down like that, but we tell our running back, do not move until the ball is caught. And you can see he hasn't really left yet. He's taking a little bit of a rhythm step, but he's going to let the quarterback get the ball first. So you get some indecision. You get some riding time, back hip, front hip. Now, the quarterback should have reached the ball back, but the snap was a little high. And then you got to get that ball out and then throw it in the tight window there. Just so you know, this is the Eastern Championship game right here last year. So we're playing a quality opponent. Again, we're going to run this. Now you're going to see we're going to do this off of, this is counter lead. We're pulling the guard. We're pulling our F back or Y, whatever you guys want to call them. And we're running counter, but we're still running the same RPO scheme. We're reading that guy. Now I'm not going to clinic talk. I'm going to be honest with you. I have a signal that I tell the quarterback you're going to throw it to that guy. Regardless, you're throwing it to the outside guy. I told him this is, I think, 3rd and 9, maybe 2nd and 9. I told him to throw it to this kid. And the other thing that you guys need to know is we tell our receivers if the ball is going away from you to run this RPO route every time. Sometimes we're reading it, sometimes we're not. But they're going to run this RPO route every time. That way my coaches can say, hey, coach, you need to actually run the RPO. You know what I'm saying? So sometimes we're just calling counter, but these guys are running these routes. But then sometimes we're running counter and the quarterback's reading it, making it a true RPO.
Coach,
So we're going to run
you got a
counter
question
lead.
here.
Yeah, man.
Are you concerned about the safety tree chopping over the ball, or do you expect to catch it before he gets to him?
We tell our guy, you have to go in, we never go behind that guy unless we call it. So if he's screwing down on it, you better adjust your route and be underneath him so we don't throw a pick right there. You understand? See what I'm saying? Yep. So we're going to always be underneath that guy. We never let this guy somehow cut in front of us. So we're going to always, if he comes down, we're going to go inside of him. Now, the beauty of it is, and you'll see it, we'll tag it and tell that guy to run a post. And if this guy screws down, we run behind him. And so we have a tag in which we'll change the RPO to running behind that guy. Or we'll double move him. We'll come here, run like that, and then we'll run a sluggo behind it. Okay? And you actually see that on this video. I got it just so you know it's not clinic talk. It's on here. Okay?
And one more question for you, Coach.
Yeah, man.
If you were to run power instead of zone, how do you coach your lineman not to get downfield?
You don't. You just hope them officials are bad enough never to call it. I'll be honest with you, we run it off of power. You're going to see that. And what's crazy is we probably got it called twice last year. I don't know where you guys are from. Since they moved the official into the backfield of the offense, we don't get it called very much. But when we get in the playoffs, every now and then they got the guy back over here. You're more apt to get the lineman downfield if the umpire is on this side of the ball. If he's on the offensive side of the ball, which he is in this playoff game, they almost never get you for being downfield. And to be honest with you, I think 2 or 3 times we got called for being downfield. When I look at the video, we weren't even downfield on them damn plays. What was crazy is there were some times our linemen were past the guy that caught the ball and we got away with it, and they never called it. The time we got called for it really shouldn't have been called. So I wouldn't worry about it, Coach. Tell your quarterback to get rid of the ball. Be fast. And I wouldn't worry about it. Be good with you. Because we're running power. I mean, right here, our lineman has no clue that we're running a pass play right here. They're supposed, our linemen are supposed to be double teaming to the next level and all that kind of stuff, which, by the way, they were really good on defense up front. We couldn't block. And there's that second window throw that we're talking about. And again, he really could have thrown the inside one, but that outside receiver is a better receiver. And I just wanted to get it in our best player's hand, so I just tagged him. Throw it to him. Here's one. This is in the first or second round of the playoffs. And he dropped that one. That would have been a touchdown right there. Again, here we're running outside zone. The other thing is, what we do is we have a call to our linemen because I don't like my quarterback to get hit in the back. So if we're going to have a play that normally would leave this guy unblocked, we have a call that now we're going to lock on 1, lock on 2. Those 1, 2, 3, 4 people are going to run outside zone. He's going to block down 1. He's going to block down 2. We're going to read that guy. Does that make sense to everybody? So 1, 2, 3, 4 are going to block 1, 2, 3, 4. We'll make him make the tackle because obviously if he comes down too hard, we'll run the post over his head on the front side. We'll put the RPO on the front side and run a post over his head if he starts screwing down, okay? But what we're going to do right here is we're going to run, and you'll see on the backside, we basically pass protect with him and him. Those 2 are pass protecting so my quarterback don't get hit in the back. All those 4 are running outside zone. And now we're going to read him. Quarterback made a good read. He pursued. We're going to throw it here. But again, look at this throw too. Wide open. It doesn't matter. He could have thrown it either one up. And we end up dropping this one. He threw it a little bit too front. To be honest with you, my receiver got a little too far up the field. He should have been flatter. Goes back to what I told you guys earlier. If you tell them right there, they end up running right there. So if I told them right there, they'd be way too high. Because he should really be tighter right here on this. Put his foot in the ground pretty good, but he should be coming more this way. Here's one we actually give the ball. I'll go through this quickly. When we go to trips, we do not include him as part of the RPO package unless I tag him. So it's still going to be this guy's coming in, this guy's running the dig. And again, if the ball's coming this way, he's just blocking. Now, I do have a way, again, to put him on the RPO and these guys, all 3, to be blocking. So we have a call for it to be a front side RPO or a back side RPO. Most defensive coaches, and there are a bunch of them on here, will tell you the RPO usually comes from the side that the back's on. So there is a way to manipulate that. In fact, I got a play against Jack Britt, which is Coach Justin's school, that we did that. We went to the side of the running back. But see, we ended up giving the ball. He should have thrown that, really. Here's a good example, okay? The running back is over here. Most defensive coaches will tell you this is the side they expect to run the RPO from. But what we're going to do is we're going to run counter now. My left tackle does a terrible job right here. He should actually gate cut off, but he ends up going all the way past both these guys, which is crazy. But we put the RPO on the backside. This is power. The guy asked about power earlier. This is front side power with a backside RPO. This gets coach's school, my old school. Now, I will tell you the quarterback right here, slide, he's having to really reach his neck back to read that guy. But you got to just practice, and he's reading this guy. He's coming, he pulls it, throws it backside. Okay, now it's trips. Now this guy's not a nub, it's 3 actual receivers. So what we do is we eliminate this guy. We tell him to just run off. Now these 2 guys have the RPO. Now this guy's a freshman, and we did tell him in this game, because we saw how wide these safeties got, rather than run a yard behind him, we almost told him just to run up the pipe. And then this guy's going to do the dig, and he is not involved. So when it's 3 actual receivers, not a nub, we work off these 2 inside guys. And again,
Coach, question for you.
Yes, sir.
QB play, footwork, coaching emphasis for RPO. What is your progression?
You know, to be honest with you, you can overcoach it. The biggest thing is to tell them to have quick feet and get the ball out like you're a shortstop turning a double play. My quarterback here on this game, he's a baseball guy. He's used to sort of that terminology. I wouldn't overcoach it other than front, we tell our guy back hip, front hip, and you got to flip your feet and get it to where you need to throw it. To say that I have some groundbreaking, teaching point on that, I really don't. Be an athlete. Be an athlete, work quick feet, and again, in practice, have them throw the ball all the time. Guys, in practice, I'll bring that guy like I was talking about earlier, or I'll just have a coach stand right where my cursor's at. We'd run this play. My quarterback would just hand it off. I'll take the read out of it, but then I'll toss him another ball and get him to throw it to the coach standing right there. So he is throwing it over and over and over in practice. So some of the guys that play me that we never run the ball, they probably think we never practice throwing the ball in practice, but we practice throwing the ball a lot for a team that doesn't throw it very much. Okay. So I don't have any groundbreaking footwork other than back hip, front hip, flip your hips around like you just did and get the ball out quick. And just rep the crap out of it. Same scenario. And you can see we locked 1, locked 2. If you don't have a little crossing guy, like if you don't have a guy coming across to block that defensive end, then you got to lock 1, lock 2 or whatever, and these guys are going to actually run the zone. Now, they really got more than we can block right here. But we kind of knew in this game, if I called this play, we were throwing it.
Another question for you, Coach.
Yeah, man.
Have you run it where your 3x1 is and number 3 is the runoff guy and number 1 and 2 are the RPO guys?
Yes, we have. Yep, and you can do it that way. The other thing we'll do, and I'm going to show this on the video, is we'll run bubble slant and sort of change who's got what. And so we got it where we do all our quick passing game now with an RPO type fake, even though when I do it that way, then the quarterback knows, so it's really not RPO, but it's just good pass protection. So we'll run zone and just run whatever passing concept we want as long as it's a quick game. Obviously, it can't be something down the field or your lineman are going to be down the field, but you can really, you're not limited. Your imagination is the only thing that limits you as far as what kind of RPO routes. You just got to teach your guys, hey, when we do this, this is the routes we want you to run, or have signals. Again, the only thing I can tell you for sure is you've got to have a way to do it on the backside and the front side, because I do think that's important, that you have a way to call it both ways. And I'll show you one of those in a minute, but here's another example, crossing. He gave the ball, he probably should have daggone, because we're reading that guy. And he should be thinking, there is nobody over him. I should think pull, throw this. But our quarterback, I'm telling you, this is early in the year. They think I want to run the ball all the time. So they were kind of scared early to pull it and throw it because they thought I was going to cuss them out when they came to the sideline. And I'm going to tell you, you better be ready as a coach if you implement RPOs to have your quarterback pull one and throw it incomplete. And then you look at film, and had he given it, you would have housed the 80-yard touchdown because that's going to frustrate the mess out of you. But you just got to know that in the long run, you're going to win more than you lose. But it is frustrating to have that quarterback pull it and throw an incomplete pass or something, and the running play would have been great. So that's a little frustrating. But really, he should have pulled and thrown that. He's wide open, and he's wide open. Now, granted, we run the ball good enough that run, we got 6 yards anyway. But I just didn't want to put all the good ones. Here's a good one where we're putting it to the single side. And you can see how my single receiver has cheated down. So these guys aren't running the RPO this time. They're going to block. Well, they're supposed to block. I'm not sure what they're going to do. And then we're reading this guy, and you can see they got 7 in the box. You got to throw the ball versus that look. So ball's down, boom, catch the ball, split them. Next thing you know, you got a 70-yard touchdown.
Question, Coach.
Yeah.
What is your solution with a young, inexperienced O-line and the defense loads the box and plays man?
To be honest with you, what we'll end up doing is put some kind of rub concept sometimes, or we'll go like slant bubble and try to hit the bubble behind them. You're gonna see some film cut-ups here in a second of teams playing 0 man against us. Again, everybody that plays us tries to get 8, 9 people in the box. They put all 11 of them in there if they could. And so we've come up with some ways. The answer to beat RPOs is to go man-free. I mean, that's what everybody does. But you've got to have some routes that you can win. But it's just like anything else. You got to have good enough people at receiver that you got to win some one-on-ones, And so, because the RPO is going to tell you to throw the ball. If they've got that many in the box, your quarterback's going to get a throw read. Now you got to win some one-on-one battles, and you got to give them some route structures that are sort of man beaters. And we have some, and this clinic doesn't have all of them on there. We have some where we get him through the backfield and out in the flats, and we'll RPO it to him, especially when a team's got a guy over here that's man-to-man up on my little nub, but he's on this side. He never can go all the way across the formation with him through the backfield. And so we have some ways to do that. We have some ways to get him on this side and bring him across this way and hit him in the backfield. And we'll actually take these 2 guys and block. And we'll run an RPO that way and hit the fullback in the flats out there with both guys blocking. But I don't have that on this cut up. But there's ways to beat those man teams. You just got to be creative.
Here's another question.
Front side. Yeah, go ahead.
Another question. Do you ID the mic to help the quarterback read which dropper to read?
No, we just tell them the first linebacker in the box from whichever side we're throwing the ball. The first linebacker inside the box. Sometimes that's the mic. Sometimes that's the outside linebacker. From week to week, like in this play, by the way, you're talking about how this play right here, we are reading, this is the safety that's screwed down. This team was normally too high. They screwed the safety down, so we checked to a post. Normally he would run his guns route right here. Now this is a classic example though. I put it on the front side of the play. This time, this guy has the RPO, even though we're running to the left guy has the RPO throw. Normally, if we're running to the left, these guys have the RPO row because it's usually a back side of where we're running the ball. But we put it on the front side to take advantage of this guy being down, which, by the way, we lost this game by 7 points, and he's getting ready to drop this perfect throw for a touchdown. And so, and this is the Eastern Championship game, so I have trouble watching this play over and over again. But it's here, ball down. We got it over, and he drops that ball right there. And that guy right there is about a 4-4 runner. So I don't know. That other guy, they might have caught him, but I'd like to see how that would have worked out. But it's a good job of, again, we're reading this guy this time. He attacks or down, which he really kind of sat there, but he read it as a throw, and we changed it, and we tagged it to a post. So rather than him coming right behind the linebackers, he ran a skinny, what I guess you call it a glance or a bang post. Depends what your terminology is, whatever you call it in your program. Now, here's a way now we're going to read, instead of reading the guys in the box, we're going to read the guys outside the box, and we're just going to tag a bubble with this. So this is just, and again, you can run any play you want to. Now, we have a way that we're going to throw it no matter what. And when I do that, everybody knows we're throwing it, okay? But then we have ways that we actually RPO it. And so we can either read and throw the bubble, or we can just throw a bubble. And we got both of those plays in our offense. But this is just sort of front side power with a front side RPO bubble route.
Coach, on that post throw,
yeah,
are there any coaching points for the throw about how just getting the ball, or what are the coaching points?
There's no, it's one thing you tell them is it's not, we throw deep post, and which is 43 yards down the field at the near upright type deal with air on it. That post is a line, you got to get over linebacker, over to safety, but it's more of a 4 or 5 iron throw is what I tell them. Now, I don't know how many of my quarterbacks ever played golf ever, but I tell them it's more of a 4 or 5 iron throw. It's not that deep shot throw. And again, coming off that ride, if you're going to throw that post, there is no drop back with the quarterback. It's come out of your fake, flip your feet, make the throw. We have it where we'll ball down, take a 3-step drop, and throw a deep post. With that bang post or glance, it is literally ball down, flip your hips, get the ball out. Again, I don't have any great teaching thing other than we practice the crap out of it. We just drill it and practice. And I got a little drill at the end of this that sort of shows you how we practice all these in practice. Here's a good one where we're reading the bubble. Again, you're reading outside the box. So my quarterback's going to read that guy. If he attacks, we're going to throw the bubble. Well, he's attacking about as hard as you can attack. And that was a crappy job by my running back right there crossing. He should be inside that guy anyway. And then you got your guy in space, one-on-one, and if your guy's better than their guy, you get a touchdown. Again, he's reading this guy. Now, I got to credit my quarterback. This is a good example of this guy screwed down, and so he saw that, and he gave the ball. And you can see we don't have anybody to block that guy, but we blocked the rest of them pretty good, and we get 6-7 yards anyway. But my quarterback did a good job of reading this, because really he's reading this guy, but then he sees that guy screw down over the top of it, so he gives it. Here's one in which he should have absolutely thrown it, and this gets my wide receivers mad. Like, he gave that ball, but this was his read. His read tells him to throw it. We got one blocking one and a guy 10, 12 yards back there. He should have thrown that ball. Now, again, my running back, my quarterback's used to me wanting to run it, but I wish he'd have thrown that one. And so does my wide receiver. They always think they should throw it. Here it is with the now screen. Same principle. And guys, by the way, in practice, when I'm working on this play, like I was telling you about having a coach, I'll have a coach stand right there, because that's the same place you throw the bubble. It's the same place you throw the now screen. And so he'll stand there and practice. We'll work on this play or any other play, and my coach will just stand there and he'll hand it off. I'll have another coach hand the quarterback the ball, and he'll throw it out here to my other coach. And so you're repping it all the time. It's literally throughout practice. If you come to our practices, even in our inside run periods, our quarterback is throwing a ball constantly. But I'll just show you a couple of these. I'll kind of get through it fast here. Front side power. He gave it. Maybe should have daggone thrown it. Again, he's reading the outside outside linebacker or nickel or safety, whatever you're calling him. Guy outside the box, he's coming. That's a throw read for sure. Takes a hit. And what I like, Coach, you got to block one guy and then have a somewhat athletic guy, and you get 6 yards, and you only blocked one dude. You got to block 6 or 7 of them in the box. Here we're doing the same thing off a counter. Here we're running counter, Trey, GT counter with the guy crossing to protect against the end here. And again, throwing the now screen out here. Make a block. We block one guy, get 6, 7 yards. Here's a great example of a wide receiver being pissed off because he doesn't get it. My quarterback should be reading him. The read should be to pull it and throw it. And, of course, he gives it. My wide receiver's over here mad, clapping his hands. But to be honest with you, we should have thrown the ball to him. Again, just front side power play, pull and throw. Make one block, get 10, 12 yards. Here's just showing it out of trips. I don't know how you guys do it out of trips. We always take him and block first threat. We bring him around to block the corner or next threat. Sometimes they can change depending on how they rotate from the secondary, but here's one. Now we're going to do outside zone. We're reading that guy this time. We're going to run outside zone. And I'll be honest with you, you tell he didn't make a fake right there. This is one in which my quarterback basically told the running back, hey, I'm throwing it. Get out of my way. And so he just got out of his way. They got a way that my quarterback's got a little system which he just tells him, hey, man, I'm throwing this one. And so he got him out of the way. So he really didn't put the ball down like he should have right there because the line's running outside zone right there completely. Here it is again. This is, again, against good competition right here. Great job right there by that slot receiver. Getting that guy turned and staying on him, running his feet. Block two guys and get 20 yards. All right, this goes back. This is what we like to do versus man teams. We like to run bubble slant versus a man team. Get him to run out, and then you got to win one-on-one with that guy. And this is one of our ones when we play man teams, we'll do that. The other thing that we like doing versus man teams is do the same thing and run what we call a 7 route, which is slot fade that you see everybody doing these days. And again, if you got that guy on the island versus your slot, let's be honest, guys. If these guys are better than your guys, you know you're in trouble anyway. But we like to run slot fade, and we like to run bubble slant when people are playing us man coverage. And you'll see that in this video with the little cutouts. Here's one we do it at a 2-back. And we used him as the bubble. He's actually the guy running the bubble, and we're running behind him. And my quarterback did a good job of throwing in the second window. Look at this guy, how frustrated this linebacker is. Look at him. That's what you do. You end up getting those guys where they can't be right, and they get pissed off, and they're yelling at each other. But he did a good job because really my quarterback's thinking first window because he's reading that guy for who to throw to, and he did a good job of waiting until that second window. Here's Richmond County, one of the best teams in our state, and this is the same play, but again, it's trips now, so he's going to run off, and these two are going to do the bubble slant. And you'll see here, this is straight man coverage. Put your foot in the ground. Boom. Stick it in there. By the way, if you ever get a chance to come to North Carolina, this is one of the biggest rivalry games in the state. There's probably about 10 to 12,000 people at this game, which for you Texas guys, I guess is nobody, but for North Carolina, that's about as big as it gets. Same thing. Bubble slant, hit it, touchdown. Okay, you can see how they're starting to play hard down on it. So we got something for them here in a second. I'll show you. Here's one where we tag the guy. Remember I told you we usually don't send this guy out unless I tag him. So we're going to run front side RPO here. And I tagged a pipe route on him. And we piped it to him. Everybody else had to bubble slant, but I put a pipe route. Just because I saw them starting to ignore him and opening up the middle of the field. Get it out. All right, here's that same game from a second ago. And you're going to see he's going to run like he's going to run the RPO, and then he runs a go route off of it. Basically sluggo. Slant, puts his foot in the ground. That guy was jumping it hard and throwing it out. So that's a good adjustment once they start really biting down hard on it. Here's one if you guys are a bunch of jet sweep guys. This is jet sweep, and we're going to run the RPO off a jet sweep look. And it's, again, backside RPO, and we're going to run it off a jet. Fake the jet. Again, we're going to lock the line so he's protected. I got one, I got two, and everybody over there is running jet sweep. Get it to that backside guy, touchdown. You got to have some guys that can run a little bit. Here's it out of just standard outside zone to the single. This is one of our favorite ones. He's going to read him. Again, somebody I think was asking earlier, if this guy screws down hard, then he's got to be underneath him. But then if I see him screwing down hard, we will check his route to a post over his head. But unless I check it, he's going to always be underneath that guy, no matter where he's at. That way we don't throw a pick in there. You can see they're running outside zone. Everybody here is running outside zone. He had one, he had two. We're reading that guy. He's going. We're going to throw it backside. Can't be right. Fourth down play right here.
Coach, question for you.
Yes, sir.
Curious as to what determines the slots being on or off.
You know, we've done it week by week. Usually if it's a man team, we'll play them off because we want that guy to be able to run a bubble the way we like to do it. We do have certain routes, and again, I'm trying not to give too much information out to my opponents, but we have certain routes that we prefer the slot to be on. Most air raid guys, and we are, and I say this loosely, I just told you we pass it about 12 times a game, whether we want to or not. So anybody that knows me is going to laugh right now. But we're an air raid passing concept team. And so usually we like that H-back, as we call him, to be on the ball, the slot receiver. But it depending on who we play, like this is a game in which we got a guys playing sort of a man-free look. We like him to play off to be able to pull him and to be able to, because usually that guy takes his alignment off of him. So if we back up, he'll move closer to the line of scrimmage. It gives us a little bit easier to throw it behind him, if that makes sense. But it really is a game by game, and it depends on the route concepts that we're throwing that week. Again, probably not a great answer, but that was actually the truth. Here's that, put a little window dressing, motion the guy across, and gonna fake it. Now, I will tell you that I don't like what my receiver did right here. We tell him normally versus inside leverage press to actually come up the field, then swipe and come underneath, sort of get his hips. He really never got his hips open. He kind of came straight to it. Now, he did a good job of boxing him out. I like that, but I think he'd have been much better served going up the field hard and then swiping back underneath him. So I don't like his release here. But now this kid from Cardinal Gibbons was a good player, a good corner. But we got 12 yards, so I guess I shouldn't be too mad. Here's one. We're playing a team, and and again, you'd have to know us to know they got everybody and their mama here to try to stop us running the ball. I mean, they got everybody. And, of course, I noticed that this, one of these two has to be covering him. And I guess they assumed we weren't going to ever send him out. So what you do is send him out. Now this guy, because this was an RPO, this guy should have ran his little dig on the backside, but he didn't do it. But anyway, we caught him cheating. Here's one backside again. Now, this is how we practice it. Now, Drew, and just to show you how we do it now, this isn't a great drawing, and pretend that this guy isn't there, okay? And what we do is we get these guys 20 yards across from each other, apart from each other, and usually I'll put one on one hash, one on the other. And what we'll do is I'll have a coach, and we'll have literally a line, and again, pretend this guy isn't here on this side, and down here is just the outside guy. And we'll have a line of receivers here and a line of receivers there. We'll have 2 or 3 running backs there, 2 or 3 running backs there. We'll have the JVs there, the JV quarterback, JV running backs, whatever. And we'll have our quarterbacks, and I'll put a coach there to be the read. And what happens is we're going at the same time. I'll make one quarterback be the live cadence. I bring the center down, so both these guys have a center snapping to them. And my man George Colthorpe, who's a big air raid guy, he says he's going to start calling this, instead of pat and go, he's going to call it RPO and go. And so what it basically is if this guy comes, then we're going to pull the ball and we're going to throw the RPO. And then when this guy catches, he's going to sprint. And all I'm coaching during this time is sprinting. We're going to sprint through the line. The guy that didn't get, let's say he got the ball or didn't get it, doesn't matter. Off his ride, he is sprinting to the other side. And on the backside down here, we're doing the outside throw. And the same thing, the coach is going to either move and give him a throw read, or he's going to widen and give him a run read. But if I don't get the ball, it doesn't matter. I'm going to sprint through the line. If I catch it, I'm going to sprint through the line. Now, you might say, how do they don't hit each other? Well, you got to get them on opposite hashes so they don't run into each other, but they're not going to on this. And they just catch it and sprint. And we'll do a 5-minute period, sometimes 10 early in the year. And all they do is the guys that come down here, then they get in this line. Now they do the outside one. The guys that did the outside one come down here and do the inside one. The running backs just rotate. And you can work on any play in the backfield you want. It can be inside zone. It can be counter lead. It could be whatever, outside zone. But you're working on this part. And then the next day, on Tuesday, we may come in. This is him showing this little thing, shows you throwing to the outside receiver. It doesn't matter. Again. But then all we'll do is bubbles. We'll work on our bubbles. And we'll have them bubbling both sides. And this is the outside guy. If he comes, we're going to throw the bubble. If he wides, we're going to hand it off. And our running back will just run up the sideline. He'll run up this sideline. The guy will act like he caught a bubble even if he doesn't get it. He'll run up the sideline. And so you're getting a bunch of reps and a bunch of reads for your quarterback. And it's sort of like pat and go. Now we're just doing now screen. He's just stepping back and he's throwing it. Again, we're faking outside zone. You can put any running play you want, though. It's just illustrating. Again, we'd have a whole stack of receivers right there, just like it was pat and go. And boys, that's sort of it. I guess I don't know how long I was supposed to go, but I'll answer any questions or talk about anything you guys want to talk about or anything we do as far as install or whatever.
That was great. Yeah, coaches, make sure, if you have any questions for Coach, feel free to drop it in the chat.
Yeah, guys, I'm not a big secret guy. Obviously, since I'm sitting here, I got coaches I play against on here. I don't believe in a bunch of secrets, man. I just believe in sharing information. Everybody's trying to I've never had an original idea. All I do is steal from people. And so, if anybody wants, there's my information. Feel free to text me. I'll send you the PowerPoint. I'll send you cut-ups, whatever I can do to help you guys. I'm willing to do, and hopefully you got something out of it.
People seem to really like that the drill at the end that you discussed. Yeah,
that is a good way of practicing it and getting a lot of reps in a short amount of time. And things, and we're one of those teams, I don't know how you guys practice, we're one of those, it's like a college, we got a clock, and we don't run after practice at Scotland. We run, I tell them all the time, we're going to run during practice. If we're not running during practice, then I'm going to run after practice. And that usually motivates them. But our practices we practice like we play, kind of with tempo and up speed, and we get a lot of conditioning. I tell our wideouts, that's a conditioning drill right there. We can either run during that drill or we can run after practice.
What is the teaching progression with the O-line guys?
It depends on the play. With our guys, it just depends on what we're blocking. We don't even talk to them about this being an RPO. They understand when they get a call, they have to lock one, lock two on the backside of the play. But other than that, our front side. Now, I will tell you, and maybe this is a good coaching point. When we're playing a straight up 50 defense, and we're running outside zone, where normally the guard in the center would be reaching, overtaking on the nose. If they get the call, what we'll do a lot of times is we will out the backside just in case they're blitzing the outside linebacker, if you can envision a 3-4, okay? And we tell our center, you just square the nose up. Because if you just reach the nose, and the nose is going to run straight up the field and hit your quarterback in the mouth. Now, granted, he did his job on the running play because there's no way if he comes behind the play, he's going to get the running back. But so we tell him if he gets that call that normally just locks one, locks two, then the center has to know, okay, I'm going to stay on the nose and not let him climb into the backfield. So that's just a little adjustment we make versus 3-4 teams. Now, if you don't have a outside linebacker threat to the backside, then we'll just let the center go and we'll block him with the guard. It just depends on whether or not he gets sort of an out call backside, and the center knows I got to stay on the nose.
How do you prevent that quarterback always wanting to throw the deep ball?
Well, with the RPOs, you really don't tag a deep ball with it, unless if I tag a deep ball, he knows I want to throw the deep ball. And the big thing, and I thought this was funny, if you heard Joe Burrows and Kirk Herbstreit talk before the national championship game, they were talking about RPOs. And Joe said basically, he told the coach, don't call that crap if you don't want me to throw it. Because I'm going to tell you, they're going to read a throw into it. Even if it's not a throw read, they're going to find a way to throw it. Now, my quarterbacks finally got that way, but I had to take about, several years worth of me telling them to run the ball all the time in Scotland to convince them to actually throw the ball. But my quarterbacks know now, if I put the RPO in it, I'm wanting them to throw it.
Do you have a hot call if a linebacker shows blitz early?
If they're blitzing, we don't necessarily have a hot call, but I do. And this is a little bit of a week-to-week thing. The hot call is you better get it out your hand in a hurry or give it. And now I'm talking about if it's an outside run and you get a blitz from the backside linebacker who's your read key. If your read key is blitzing, you're supposed to hand the ball off. But I tell our quarterback, just get the ball out your hand. And we've been pretty successful doing that. And so, when I went to NC State a few years ago and they talked about their RPO reads, they said a blitz should be read like a give. We read the blitz like throw it really fast. Now, your quarterback's going to get hit in the face. But I tell him, man, I'm not a very good quarterback coach in that I used to be a defensive coach. And I kind of expect our quarterbacks to be football players. And if they get hit in the mouth, I expect them to give up and go play the next play. Because we're not one of these, like I said, we're a run-the-ball team. Our quarterbacks are usually decent athletes. And if I had one of them pretty boy type quarterbacks, I'd probably tell him to give it and not get hit in the mouth. But our guy, I tell him to throw it and get hit and get back up and play the next play.
How many concepts for the offensive line do you go into a game with, including pass pro and run?
All right, here's the deal with that, Coach. Because I'm trying to now, Justin, you're going to get some info here. Because we are progressing, my quarterback is coming back next year as more of a thrower. So I've spent a lot of time this offseason with the air raid passing game, which we already did the concepts. I would say we go into a game. Now, according to my fans, we don't run but 3 plays anyway. I mean, they'll tell you they run a different play. We only run 3. We go into a game with probably about 5 running concepts. We'll have a zone, inside zone. We'll have outside zone, some kind of counter, speed option, and that's about it. We're going to carry those 4 concepts into about every game. Now, we have different types of counters. Like we can run guard tackle counter. We can run, guard F-back counter. And we'll run outside zone. Now, we'll just do rip, reach, overtake outside zone. Now, we'll do some pin and pull. We'll basically run buck sweep. But now we don't do all that in the same week. If there's certain teams, we're going to run pin, pull, buck sweep style outside zone. And then, which, by the way, works great for RPOs because if you're pulling those guards and linebackers are reading guards, you can get that inside linebacker to fly out and throw it right where he left from. So we love doing pin, pull concepts during – when we got teams that are really doing a good job of reading guards. So to answer this question, we go in with about 3 or 4 plays, running plays. We'll carry about 2 or 3 of our RPO concepts. We'll carry about, we'll do stick, Y corner, just like everybody that's in air raid. And then we have sort of the standard 2 or 3 air raid type concepts we go into a game with. Now this year we'll probably go with less running plays, more air raid concepts.
Favorite runs or adjustments to handle D-line movement or stunts?
I'll be honest with you, I like gap schemes versus line movements type guys. Just kind of gap them all down, kick out the last guy. I'm a big fan of any kind of power running play. I like outside zone. If your guys are good at zoning and overtaking, the line stunts, a lot of times they'll create creases. I tell people all the time, they're going to get you some when they're moving around a lot, but you get them once or twice. And if you got good enough players, you got to make it hurt when they miss. You got to have that guy back there when they sort of stump themselves out of a play. You got to make sure you hit a big play on it. But I'm a big, if people are moving around on me, I'm going to try to gap them down and kick out the last guy. I really am. And I'm going to find ways, like I was talking about earlier, if you're going to pressure me, I'm going to try to find ways to throw some screens, and I'm going to try to find ways to get my little H-back guy across the formation out in the flats on you if I can. But not, I mean, I don't want to overthink it, but that's sort of what we do.
Have you found calling RPOs against teams that use late movement, like spinning the coverage, tend to be problematic or cause your quarterback to be hesitant?
It can be. And, anytime the teams give you one thing and then, rock to something else, that obviously creates issues. That's why you got to coach them up with the whole never let that screwing down safety be in front of you if we're running that RPO. If he's screwing down, you screw down even shallower. Now, it'd be nice if I said, okay, you just go over him, but I'm always worried that if that happens, they won't be on the same page and we'll just throw a pick six. So, it does give you some issues. I think I showed that one play where the guy screwed down and we ended up where we had a bubble or now screen call, and my quarterback did a good job of just giving the ball and kind of living with results. We don't see a lot of post-snap movement, at our level, which, is basically the highest level in North Carolina, but it is problematic. And I would be less likely to call some things if I see a bunch of teams doing that on film, before we play them. I'd be, I don't like to let the kids make a big mistake. If anybody's going to make a big mistake, I want it to be me. And I don't want it to be a 16, 17-year-old. So I'll take some of the read out of it. And guys, we have ways in which, without me giving away hand signals, that I'm telling the quarterback, it's really not our RPO, you're throwing. Or I'm giving him a signal, hey, you're giving this one, and it's post-snap. My quarterback, we have the little tempo where the entire team steps back and looks to the sideline, not the line, but all the skill guys. Anybody that plays me knows exactly what I'm talking about. But then I have another speed in which only person that's going to look over there is the quarterback. And I'm going to give him, hey, look, Z. I'm telling him, throw to the Z. Look, I ain't going to show you our F signal, but look H, look X, whatever it is. And we're going to – and I'm telling the quarterback who to throw to. I'm taking the guesswork out of it. I'm telling him I want you to throw it. If you throw an interception, you're going to blame me because I'm the one that's going to get fired anyway. So I'm going to put it on me.
What type of quarterback would you rather? A guy that has all the tools with the mobility combined, or a guy that's more of like a dog, like a competitor, but doesn't have the same skill set?
With me, I would take, and people that play me, I want an athletic guy that can run traditionally. That's a tough kid. I want that dog, man, because I want that guy that can make chicken salad out of chicken crap every now and then. We usually typically put our best player at quarterback. I tell people all the time, if you don't want to play quarterback at Scotland High School, something's wrong with you, because that guy's going to be the dude, because he's going to run the ball a lot. Like a couple years ago, we had one of the top quarterbacks in the United States. He got in an ATV accident, and he went to Georgia Tech on scholarship. But that cat rushed for 2,000 yards and threw for 2,000 yards and had like 56 touchdowns and was like the state player of the year. I want that guy if I can get him. But the one thing I like about this offense and what we do is you can do it with anybody. Like the kid we had last year, I played two quarterbacks. You probably saw that on film. We had a guy that was more athletic, and we did some more running stuff with him, designed quarterback runs. Whereas the kid I got coming back next year, he can run, but he don't want to run. He wants to throw the football, so we'll become more of a throw-it guy, a little bit more of that, which is not my nature, but it is, I tell people all the time, you got to utilize the players you have. Too many coaches try to put, square pegs in round holes. You better take the personnel you have and make it fit what you're doing and get rid of things that the kids aren't. It's not about what looks good on the chalkboard. It's like, what can you make look good on the football field?
How do you address a read concept on the number 2 and number 3 receivers by the outside linebacker and safety when the corner is locked on number 1?
Okay, explain that to me again now. Okay.
How do you address a read concept on the number 2 and number 3 receivers by the outside linebacker and the safety, with the corner being locked on number 1?
Coach, I'll be honest with you. I don't know exactly what I'm not sure exactly how to answer that question, because I'm not sure I've seen a lot of that against us. if he just, when he says read scheme, what is he talking about? Who's he read? What does he mean? I don't understand. I guess I don't understand the question enough to answer it. I apologize. He's talking over my head, man.
The outside linebacker and the safety are reading the routes in number 2 and 3. So if 3 goes out, the outside.
I got you. So they're basically bracketing that guy. Yeah. I got you. Coach, we got some teams that do that. Like we'll run brack. We call that brack tray, where one's locked up on the outside. I got you. I know exactly what you're talking about right now. Coach, one thing you got to do, you either run that little sucker play where you run the little slant and go behind that guy if they're going to swap them like that, or you just stick with the traditional inside guy runs a pipe, outside guy runs a dig, and you got to win. And against some of your guys, it's hard to win on that play, on that route. But that does make it a little difficult if they're going to switch those guys. You know, when you have like a bubble slant type concept, that makes it a little more difficult to do, without a doubt.
Good deal. Anybody else have any more questions for Coach?
It's good stuff, man. I like it.
All right, Coach, how can they reach out to you on Twitter? I don't know if you put your Twitter on earlier, but just in case they want to reach out to you.
Yeah, just on my Twitter account. What is my daggone Twitter? Scott's Football or Coach B SCS? Is that what it is? I don't even know. Hold on. It's at Coach Bailey SHS. Yep. At Coach Bailey SHS. Just reach out to me on Twitter. And again, I'm an open book, man. I'm not a big secret guy. I've had teams in our conference come watch us practice before. I don't do that as much anymore because they started beating me. So, but I'm not one of those guys that believes in a lot of secrets. If there's anything I can do to help you, I'll definitely help you. And obviously, I'm willing to learn. You got some great ideas, send them to me.